of C contains elements of result that should be only be watched under the supervision of children.
And so, number one, we can be heroes. Thank you. And kids of every age. This is Shehigo City TV, the show where you are the star. My name is Lucifer, and I'll be pleased to be your medic. Here we'll be debating about different topics with the sole depraved intention of promoting priesthood as a virus that will attack and devour the system that has taken over shehigo cities and its citizens. Today we'll talk about heroes. What makes a hero? When asked where our heroes are, the answer varies between myself, some family member, or some celebrity. Taking a look at the definition of hero, we find this. Hero. 1. In mythology and legend, a man, often of divine ancestry, who is endowed with great courage and strength, celebrated for his bold exploits, and favored by the gods. 2. A person known for feats of courage or nobility of purpose, especially one who has risked or sacrificed his or her life. 3. A person known for special achievement in a particular field, a celebrity. 4. The principal character in a novel, poem, or dramatic presentation. We find that hero is also a leader, a person who rules, organizes, or inspires others. We have an example of Job, a Jewish hero in the Old Testament who maintained his faith in God in spite of afflictions that faced him. We are also said that a hero is someone who fights for a cause, a person who cares for persons or property. And we're also said that a hero is a large sandwich made of a long crusty roll split lengthwise and filled with meats and cheese and tomato and onion and juice and condiments. Different names are used in different sections of the United States. So, in few words, besides a regular delicious sandwich, a hero is someone to be looked up as a sort of role model because of their deeds. There are several key words in these definitions. Some of them always come to mind when people think about what's a hero: courage, strength, fight. There's another word, not so associated with the word hero, but absolutely important and necessary in a hero. faith. Let's see what we find in the definition of faith. 1. Confident belief in the truth, value, or truthworthiness of a person, idea, or thing. 2. Belief that does not rest on logical proof or material evidence. 3. Loyalty to a person or thing, allegiance. 4. A theological virtue, defined as secure belief in God and a trusting acceptance of God's will. 5. The body of dogma of a religion. And 6. A set of principles or belief. We also are told that faith is a strong belief in a supernatural power or powers that control human destiny, or complete confidence in a person or plan. Now, taking a look at the site christianhandbook.com, we find that faith is the capacity to believe without reason and act without caution when Jesus speaks. Believing when all human sense fail to find any measure of proof. Obeying Jesus regardless of the consequences. Burning all our bridges behind us as we step out into the unknown. The confident assurance that we hope for is waiting for us, even though we cannot see it up ahead. Peace in the presence of turmoil, hope in the midst of despair. Believing that God is. There's a quote from Eddie Fromm. It says, "To have faith requires courage, the ability to take a risk, the readiness to accept pain and disappointment. Whoever insists on safety and security as primary condition of life cannot have faith." There's another quote from Eric Fromm. "Irrational faith is the acceptance of something as true only because an authority or the majority says so. Rational faith is rooted in an independent conviction based upon one's own productive observing and thinking in spite of the majority's opinion." And they say we must know what we believe and why. I think it is interesting that they quote Eric Fromm. Eric Fromm was a very famous psychologist, sociologist, and philosopher. He wrote many interesting books, one of them called The Art of Loving. In one of the chapters of it, he speaks about two types of faith, irrational faith and rational faith. Irrational faith is what we're always being told faith is. The belief that does not rest on logical proof or evidence. The blind faith to accept God's will, and whenever things go wrong, as the story of Job in the Bible illustrates. In an article written by Kundali Dasa in a Hare Krishna site, we can read this. Unfortunately, by not making a distinction between rational and irrational faith, we often advocate irrational faith while discussing the principle of submission, surrender, and so forth. One guru was asked, do I surrender my intelligence or through my intelligence? The guru said, you surrender your intelligence. Meanwhile, Prabhupada states in the Purpurtude Tad-Vidi Pramipivatena verse that blind submission is condemned. Irrational faith, in essence, is belief in a person, idea, or symbol which is not the result of our own processing of our thoughts and feelings or conscience. Rather, it is based on our emotional submission to irrational authority. It continues like this. Here are more commonplace situations where a similar dynamic between submission to authority and our thought processes take place. In discussing faith as a character trait, Erich Fromm dealt with the idea of semiotic irrational submission to or faith in a forceful authority. And he goes, the reaction of people to a leader equipped with a strong power of suggestion is an example of semiotic situation. Here too, the unqualified accepting of his ideas is not rooted in the listener's conviction based upon their own thinking or their critical appraisal of the ideas presented to them, but instead in the emotional submission to the speaker. People in this situation have the illusion that they agree, that they rationally approve of the idea the speaker suggests. They feel they accept him because they agree with his ideas. In reality, the sequence is the opposite. They accept his ideas because they had submitted to his authority in a semi-hypnotic fashion. This is irrational faith. When Srila Prabhupada said, I blindly follow my spiritual master, this is not what he meant. But when we quote Prabhupada, 95% of the time, irrational submission is precisely what we mean. And unfortunately, the other 5%, we invariably mean the same thing. There's another quote from Erich Fromm. It says, for irrational faith, the sentence, credo quia absurdum est, I believe because it is absurd, has full psychological validity. So, we're told and taught to submit ourselves blindly to external and irrational ideas and authority, with the excuse that if they're irrational, it's because they're beyond our understanding. Indeed, there are things that our mind do not fully reach, but blindly accepting the absurdities we are told is a whole different thing. To me, faith or rational faith, as Fromm called it, is a character trait that forms part of our whole personality. It's not any specific belief in something or someone. It's conviction, it's confidence, it's holding on when everything goes wrong, but root in one's own mental and affected experience. Now, what does this have to do with heroes? A lot. As I told you, faith, rational faith, is a sine qua non requisite for heroism. Fromm said, to have faith requires courage, the ability to take risks, the readiness to accept pain and disappointment. Whoever insists on safety and security as primary condition of life cannot have faith. Indeed, faith needs courage, and faith produces courage. Faith gives strength. If we see existence as a show, as a film, as the best story ever told, we can see there are two types of characters, the victims and the heroes. The main difference between the two, faith. Let's take Homer, the Odyssey. In this story, the hero, Ulysses, and his crew face a lot of tragedies in their journey back home, where Ulysses' wife and son are suffering because they're being told he's dead and someone must take his place. In his adventure, he faces hikers, he loses friends, loved ones, people who had battled at his side. And when he's about to reach home, envious gods make him with bad into the sea. But in spite of all, he insists, and he finally arrives home with his wife and son, and kills the man who wanted to take his place. Another interesting story is Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. They also face a lot of opposition to his wish, to their wishes, but they have faith and they didn't give up. In the end, they found death, true, but they also find love and sorry for the dirty war. These two stories could be just two stories more of many stories written since the beginning of times, but they're special because their characters are heroes, and there's a very important element here, tragedy. Their heroes, because despite of the tragedies in their story, they didn't give up, because tragedies turned their stories in adventures. Tragedies and the fact that they didn't give up to the tragedy. They accept pain, they accept disappointment, but not as, oh wow, it's God's will. I silently accept and resign to it, but rather as, okay, there is pain, and I am suffering, and okay, I accept it, but I won't give up myself. I keep fighting with conviction, with faith, knowing that in life there is a time for everything. Moment of joy and moment of suffering. And we must take them both and experience both and learn from both. This is what distinguishes irrational faith from rational faith, a victim from a hero. My fellow citizens of shehigo cities, this is not paradise. The bad things exist for a reason. We can't just split the world in the good things, those we like, and the bad things, those we don't want to experience, and deny a whole part of the world that has its reason to exist. Because putting in a case and hiding behind a curtain that part of the world will only turn it against us, and it will destroy us. When lights blows up in our faces, showing us the thing we don't like, we must not run and hide and complain. Why me? Why this has to happen to me? No, we must not act like victims, but as heroes. A victim will always be a pawn thrown in the sea of life with no will, sinking in their self-pity. If we want a better world, we must act like heroes and not being a puppet bound to whatever the world, life, or God's will decides for us. Life is not about living in Eden, cocaine, or any real or fictional paradise. We must embrace existence in an integral way, with its good and its bad things, pleasures and pains. Otherwise, we'll think and decay, mere puppets in a grotesque show of victim doomed to oblivion. As someone said, life is not a journey to the grave in an attempt to arrive pretty and well preserved, but rather a treat where you're skidding, kicking and screaming, fought up and worn out and loudly proclaiming what badass, what a ride. So I hope you think about these things and may you be a hero in your own yard. This was shehigo City TV and Lucifer, man, you're ometic until the end. Hope you enjoyed the show and remember, we can be